Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Cynical Marketers. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. We are at episode 69, season 2 now, episode 17 in season 2. So, you know, we know how we number things just to keep everything straight. And with all our content and with so many things going on, you got to have a good organization system. You know, I mean, gosh, we're so busy with nothing. And so many fans, so many people, it's hard to keep track. So we have to get better organized, honestly. So that's why we do this and why we say that at the beginning of every episode for our fan.
Yep. So that you know where you
little bit of behind the scenes look at high level podcast production.
That reminds me of one of my favorite movies, You've Got Mail. There's a line in there when she sells her bookstore, and the lady that worked in the bookstore with her goes, "This is exciting. You're marching into the unknown, armed with nothing."
yeah, right. So
that's us.
You're going to start to see though. So, big brain strategy. We've lost a couple of clients recently, and not because we did anything wrong. It's just the fluctuations in consulting business. It goes this way. It's feast or famine always, it seems.
Yep.
You know, at least at our level, maybe the bigger folks. But I don't know. Nada has way more agency experience than I do working inside of an agency. So she knows they lose clients constantly.
Yep. It's why every agency has a sales team.
We're going all in on content. So we're going to double our output on the podcast twice the Cynical Marketers content. What am I going to do?
Lance, you're in for a treat.
I've got a job. I can't just listen to the Cynical Marketers all day long. I've got to work. I've got a family. I've got things I'm supposed to do. Sorry, folks. Sorry. Now you're just going to be stuck.
Now they're just going to tune us out.
You can find us on Spotify and take us to go.
Yeah, you can.
I know you didn't know that you could find us on Spotify because nobody listens to us there. Me and Nada, because I always listen
a few people do once in a while. Listen, you can find us on Spotify. You cannot find us on Apple Podcasts because we have yet to figure that part out. For some reason,
you cannot set up a new account. And I'm not an Apple person, so it really hates me.
Yes. But so for whatever reason, we got flagged the first time in trying to set this up, and we've never been able to get past that with Apple. So, but it's okay. YouTube is really, I feel like where we, where most of the people I think look at our clips and look at our stuff, and y'all love when we talk about AI. So that's what we're going to do again this week.
We're talking about AI again today because this story just came out on Sunday, April 19th from Fortune. I love this story. 6,000 companies talked to, 90% of them saw zero benefit from their investments in AI.
Yep.
Incredible.
That sounds about
and
accurate.
If you're saying like, well, you know, the other 10% must have made it up. They did not. No more than 1.5% improving in efficiency and productivity from any of these 6,000 companies. Fortune 500s on down. The US, UK, Australia, and Germany companies were talked to. And this is Fortune who put this out.
Right.
So you'll see it if you're watching here. I'll put up, some shots of the article and stuff, but and we'll talk more about it, but just incredible that nobody's seeing it. And I've asked this question. I've done a couple of videos on this. Here's my question. Why haven't we heard about any winners?
There are none.
Who are the companies who have won? Because right now, all I have ever seen is companies making announcements for layoffs, and they're saying they can lay people off because we have AI now. Mm-hmm. And so the short-term gain that they get is maybe a bit of a labor savings, but that is only going to benefit the current CEO and for a quarter, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? There's no real benefit other than right now, the short-term, savings of those people's salaries and benefits, but nothing has happened. Where has anyone been that it's been like, we did this and look, we're just taking off. It's been the best decision we've ever made. Where are those people?
There are none. And really, like, I think, Mike, that is a big thing because, you know, as somebody who had lost her agency job because of my salary at the time, people don't want to talk about this. What these companies are doing is giving a quick influx of cash flow by cutting people, by cutting salaries, right? Like we've seen it with Disney now. They've cut 1,000 jobs, like, you know, because they're replacing creatives with AI, right? On the tail end of this report coming out saying AI doesn't work. And we know, you know, now you see the Duolingo CEO on a press tour because he has to, you know, undo the mess that he made by firing all his contractors to replace them with AI, right? Salesforce, you know, Benioff has come out and said, we made a mistake. We need people back. Like we need our workforce back. You know, and people you made a video about this 2 days ago about, okay, AI can tell you what to do, but who's going to do it? And there were people in the comments going, AI will learn how to do it. You know, it's an interesting thing where we're sitting between people who are like, ugh, AI is just garbage and it's slop and it's not giving us anything productive and it's ending all the creatives. And the people who are like, AI is going to replace every job known to man. Like, there doesn't seem to be anything in between.
A TikTok video of a podcast where these guys are saying 50% of jobs are going to be taken by AI. And the podcast host pushed back and he's like, that's crazy. That's crazy now. You know, there's actually people starting to push back. I have pushed back for a year and a half at least.
Right.
And I've been, nobody knows who we are. Nobody knows who I am for sure, right? But I want it known that I was early on this. But now other people are starting to recognize that, you know, and like we have said, because you and I get labeled as anti-AI. We are not.
All the time.
Right, we're not. We think that it's a good and useful tool, but it is being way overhyped and it's not living up to the hype. And now the big businesses are figuring it out. Problem is you and I work for mid-sized businesses, mid to small to mid-size.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it's like the big brother or the cool guy syndrome, right? The cool people do everything first and then it trickles out to everyone else later. Yeah. So the big businesses are figuring this out. It's going to take the people who are our client types a couple of more years to figure it out because they're still bought into the hype and that's all they know right now. So the world we're in is still going to be an upheaval for a while.
Yeah.
But
I think it's an important article that came out, Mike, that talks about the fact that, you know, across industries, across countries, right? This isn't United States specific. Across countries, we are seeing issues, you know? And so these mass layoffs that resulted as folks being replaced by AI are coming back to bite these companies in the butt. And frankly, they're not feeling it just yet financially, right? They're saying like, okay, well, it didn't do what we thought it would do. But now you have to rehire folks. You have to retrain them. You have to get them accustomed to your culture, to your process. Onboarding costs are crazy. And this is where the companies are going to lean into contractors. This is, I think, anyway, right? You know, and big companies like this, like Duolingo, like Salesforce, can afford to make a financial mistake of this magnitude, right? Yep. They can afford to fire 1,000 employees, lean into AI, 6 months later, figure out that it doesn't work, put their tail between their legs and come back crawling to, you know, rehire people. Small and mid-sized businesses that we work with or that we have in the past worked for don't have that luxury. Like, that's what people don't understand. Like, you don't have the luxury of saying, well, I don't want this, I'll just let AI do it, when there's proof that AI doesn't do what you think it will do.
Right.
You know?
And you're just going to turn it over. Like, hey, our last podcast, we showed a couple of videos of guys who are just absolutely hammering AI, showing the limitations, that it's really not intelligent.
Yeah.
There are things it does well, right? But the one video, I think we showed the video of a guy asking Claude or ChatGPT, hey, I'm 100 meters from a car wash. Should I walk or drive my car? And the AI said, oh, 100 meters? Just walk. It's good exercise.
Just walk.
And he's like, you want me to walk to get my car washed? Yes, you should. And it just doubled down on it. And then he's like, how would I get my car washed if I walk there? Oh, they'll have all the stuff you need. It just would not, it just couldn't see it. You know, and then all the attack that guy got too in the comments, it's crazy because people are just so invested in this. Like, you know, to me, it's scary that you see that kind of a simplistic case. And it's like, people are like, well, yeah, it doesn't know that, but go ahead and trust it with everything else. Hand it your financial data. Yeah.
Right.
You know,
well, this is, I mean, and we've talked about this on our TikTok live yesterday, I think, and may have even mentioned it in our last podcast. You know, AI is a tool, but somebody needs to use the tool. Right. And so like I was working on a case study and it still took me 6 hours to put this case study together using AI because I am not someone who regularly does case studies. It would have taken me way longer to do it myself, right? From scratch, start to finish, to look at example case studies, to look at everything. Like, it would have taken me a long time. So I used the help of AI, but AI was still not getting everything, right? And went back and forth multiple times. And, you know, it's not the end all be all, and somebody still has to use it. And if the big companies are saying, this isn't where we are not at the point where we can replace actual workforce with AI. Why are people objecting to that? That's what baffles me, Mike.
I don't know.
You know, like if big companies like Salesforce is telling you they can't do it, and frankly, Salesforce has done everything and anything, and their systems suck to begin with to implement. Right. If Salesforce, a literal giant in the tech industry, cannot figure out how to replace their workforce with AI, how are you going to do it? Like, why do you, Mr. Small to mid-sized CEO, think that you can do it? You know?
The other thing people don't recognize with all of this too is the cost that they haven't really seen yet, the true cost of all of this stuff. Because to actually use and produce, you're going to run up on your limits quickly. It's not cheap. Yes. And if you want to use it for on the production side to do things, you'll run into limits quickly. Yes. You know, I'm seeing videos now of guy, you know, Claude design. Like, oh, I did this in 5 minutes. But then I saw guys like, I did one thing today and I used up my whole week of tokens. Yeah. You know, and I saw another article in Wired or somebody else about estimating, you know, $55,000 to $65,000 for one instance of something, you know, one of the design tools to do output. So it's like, well, okay, so a person, but it's not really, it's still AI. And you have that, and you need a person to actually still do it, you know, like, so what are you saving? And I don't know if you saw this. Here's one from, I just saw this morning. Uber, it is April 21st today as we record. Uber used up their entire 2026 AI budget already this year with Claude Code. Claude Code blew their budget. Their engineers were just using it to do anything and everything, and blew through their entire 2026 budget already. And you see the other stupidity. Did you see that's the story about what's going on at Meta, that they have there was internal contests being run and they had leaderboards created on who's using the most tokens?
No,
the dumbest
I didn't see that.
Ever. I mean, honestly, I know if you put Meta on your resume, it's supposed to mean you're the smartest and brightest, but it doesn't anymore. Yeah. It used to, but man, So they had people in Meta who were running processes just to run 24 hours so they could climb this leaderboard. Crazy, crazy, you know, but there's a cost to this stuff that people don't recognize, because right now we're in the early crack phase of the sales where they're just trying to get you hooked on this right now. And they are all venture capital backed, and they're okay with acquiring at a loss like ChatGPT.
Right.
But there's going to come a reckoning. They have to make money somehow, and that's going to get fixed.
But that's why they partnered. So like OpenAI partnered with Shopify, right? To list products now in Shopify, like or Shopify products within the OpenAI instance, ChatGPT, guys, in case that's not clear.
Yeah, right.
We've said this last year, they're gonna move to an ad revenue model. They will, even on your $20 plan, you have to, because they have to make money, and they're not. They're literally losing money. And there's state legislations everywhere now banning data centers in certain states. I think, was it Maine or Missouri? One of the M states. This is terrible. I don't know which one. But just passed a legislation that they're not allowing any data centers to be built in their entire state. And I know other states will follow, because there's documented health risks around data centers being in residential, in or near residential areas.
Just a drain on the power grid in that area and your state,
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's, and we're having one built down the street for me, which is wild, but it just, to me, it doesn't make sense that I am so tired of this "we are all going to be replaced by AI" thing, because AI doesn't have lived experience. It has what it has learned. It's, again, a large language model. It's not an intelligence of any kind. It just knows what it scrapes off the internet, and it learns now, because so many people are using it. And we've talked about this. It's starting to learn from itself. So it's genuinely just getting dumber. And companies are realizing that.
There's a bell curve to this that I have discovered, that when you first start on an AI tool, you're enamored with it and just love it. So you're on the upswing of this thing and you're like, this thing is great. And then you reach a plateau or a peak and you're like, okay, great. I got it. I'm comfortable. I'm working in here. And then it starts this decline on you where you're like, is it getting dumber? But no, you're just starting to recognize that it's outputting the same stuff. You're having some issues. It doesn't remember anything, even though they told you work within a project or a chat or whatever. And this helps you build these large databases of knowledge, but it doesn't actually remember a damn thing, And then you're like, what am I doing here? And then you're like, you're working in the same project like Claude. Like, I have been so angry with Claude of late. I actually cut I went from the $100 plan back to $40. But
I know this. You're like, for anybody else listening, Mike and Claude are fighting.
And be like, hey man, we've talked about this. In fact, we have documents uploaded on what the standards are for this, right? In this project, there's these documents that are supposed to be constantly there for you to reference, but then you just didn't. And then it's like, oh, I'm sorry about that. You're right. You're right to call me out on that. Well, I know I'm right to call you out on that. You friggin' clown.
You're like, I know.
How many tokens did you just waste on this? Oh, I'm sorry that you're frustrated.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I'm paying for this. But
that was my issue too. Yesterday, for some unknown reason, out of nowhere, I asked it to do two things for me. I asked Claude to do two things for me, and it did them. And then it said I reached my limit. And I'm like, really? Because 3 days ago, we were doing all this other stuff, and you had no problem producing documents, spreadsheets, reports. All of a sudden, you can't do those things?
Oh, man.
Here's
the thing that I hate in Claude.
I don't know.
Maybe chat did this too, but in Claude, you're working in a project, in a chat, and you're trying to keep everything the same. So like for a client, I was doing weekly reporting. So I kept it all on the same thing, and I would upload the same documents. And the intention is, let's start building a long-term look at things, right? And then it's like, I'm sorry, I've reached the limit in this chat. You'll have to start a new chat. And the first time that happened, you're like, okay, that's frustrating, but okay, no problem. Let's start a new chat. And you're like, okay, hey, let's continue from where we were. What are you talking about? From that last chat I was just in with you. I don't see another chat. This one. Here. No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see another chat. Do you have anything else you can reference? I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to.
The starting of the new chat drives me nuts. Yeah. The starting of the new chat drives me nuts because the case study that I was building, that was the problem that I was having, is I would upload photos, the before and after photos. The case study was on, the website that we rebuilt for a client and move the client off of WordPress onto Shopify. So there were a lot of different areas that were rebuilt, right? Like it was product pages and homepage and learning pages and blog posts and all these different things. And so I was like, I want you to show a before and after for all of these things. And I was uploading all the images and it was like, no, I've reached an image limit. You can't upload anymore. You need to go start this in a new chat. And it was like, click here and it will know like what chat, it will start a new chat, but it will keep the history. It did not. And so when people say like, oh, like the comment that you got on a video yesterday, Mike, that was like, oh, don't worry, AI is going to learn your process and it will replace you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, well,
I would love AI to go in and set up an email in Klaviyo. I dare AI to go and set up flows in Attentive. God bless. Like, no, it's not going to learn how to do those things. And even if it does learn how to do those things, somebody still has to audit and make sure that they're done right. People make the mistake of, oh, this report looks good. Like they trust the output and they're like, okay, this is great. Is it really? Because I've had it give me some really wonky data.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be like, oh, your open rate is low. What you need to do to fix the revenue problem is get more opens. Thanks. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Like, awesome.
Man, thank you, AI.
I would have never thought of that.
Genius.
Like, because then it writes the report and it's like, this is how, next steps, get a higher open rate. Awesome. Like it's almost comical, some of the output that comes out. But then again, people who haven't done what we do for as long, or who think that, who are in that mindset of cutting people's salaries to look better on paper with their bottom line, they're going to settle for that kind of reporting. And if that's your business, like, okay, but that's what you're dealing with when you cut actual folks that know what they're doing in their jobs.
People are going to pay the price. And the thing too is,
absolutely they will.
I mean, there's a use for it internally in the businesses, but I think it's harder there's less and less of a use case that I think of for external, for things that are client facing maybe, or certainly for customer facing, because the public doesn't like AI. So what are you using it for? And again, another question that I've had about all this too is like, is this the best use of this supposed intelligence? Like, to figure out like email subject lines, like what? Let's use this to cure cancer, maybe. Like, can we focus it on that? Like, why are we using this to talk about like making funny, Bigfoot videos?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like,
honestly,
what's your cancer?
It's a really strange thing to me because I think, how much more proof do people need besides these huge companies from all over the world coming out and saying this is not doing what we thought it would? These are people with budgets. These are people with resources. These are people with, these are people with people who can manipulate these tools and know how to use them in a way better capacity than any of us, like the two of us at least. Some of the best people around, some of the biggest companies, and you're going to argue with their findings. That blows my mind. Like, you think that you know something that Mark Benioff doesn't. You think you know something that like all these companies that came out to Forbes and said, this didn't work, we fucked up, or pardon my language, I guess we messed up. Like, you think you know better than those companies? Like that is the audacity of like small and mid-sized business owners that I will never understand.
Yeah. And you get from the small and mid-sized, like, well, of course that's Salesforce. It works for them, but my business is just way more complicated. Mine is too complex for that. Salesforce. And I need these things. Yeah. You'll always hear that. Marketing doesn't work for us because we're too complex. You're a gym. You're a fitness center, Jill. People get it. You're not that complex. You're an accountant.
Right.
You're an auto
It is,
repair shop. You're not that complicated.
We do hear some wild things from people, from potential clients and our clients. We have heard some really interesting things.
Well, that doesn't work for us because we're blah blah. Like, marketing doesn't work for you. Oh yeah, you're that business case. You're that one. Yeah. You're the
one-off.
I know. I've read so many books of the businesses who became huge and well known by not marketing themselves. I mean, I just love book after book on my bookshelf behind me there of those cases of the successfully not marketing businesses. They're everywhere. So, all right.
It's wild.
We're up.
Yeah.
Another killer episode of the Cynical Marketers talking about AI. We love it. So we're going to be back again. Another episode coming up. So this week, you won't have to wait a week. I know it. Like, most of you are just on edge. Like, when's the next episode coming out again? Can't believe I got to wait a week. Not anymore. Here we come with the next one coming right behind soon. So we'll see you soon, everybody. Thank you.